Hello, everybody. A very warm welcome to all of you to this webinar on mastering answer choice elimination in CR questions on the GMAT with maximum accuracy. So, let me hear a hello from your end, guys. Let me see who all are attending so that I can kind of connect with you with your names. In the meantime, let me quickly set the agenda of the evening and at the same time introduce myself. All right, so my name is Sunita, and I will be the host for this entire session where we're going to discuss lots of questions. I love teaching students, solving their problems. I love finding simple solutions to problems that are not so simple. So, today we're going to discuss one of the most common problems that students face on the CR. I often hear students coming in telling me, well, I'm able to narrow down the options to the last two options, and then I always choose the wrong one. So today we're going to tackle that particular problem. Now, let's therefore set the agenda here. First of all, we're going to talk about what is it that we need to do, all right, before we move to the answer choice elimination stage. So ACE stands for answer choice elimination. That's the short form of the answer choice elimination stage at GMATWhiz. And the pre-work to be able to analyze the answer choices correctly and eliminate correctly is to fix the scope of the conclusion. We're going to talk about that today. And of course, we're going to talk about how to master this process. And through all of this, we're going to solve some 700 level questions. So guys, let me see who all are there. I can see Pooja's there, Deva is there. Guys, would love to hear your names from you. That would kind of help me connect with you better. And also, if all of y'all can hear me loud and clear, a little late for that, but I hope all of y'all can hear me clearly. So are you all set, guys, to solve some really difficult questions? I can see a lot of you are here, but I don't see. Okay, so I've got Jaydeep here. So Jaydeep, Deva, and Pooja, guys, where are you? The others. Hi, Antonio. So this is nice to hear from your end, guys. Otherwise, it feels like I'm talking to a, blank wall. All right. So, guys, let me start with the first question. Once again, let me set the agenda. What we're going to do today is see how is it possible to, be able to eliminate the closest of options. Now, when I bring the questions when I show you the questions today, what I want you to do is write down at your end what you consider are the two closest choices that you have narrowed down the options to. And then we're going to discuss how to eliminate them. Hi Shikha, hi Alessandro, hi Anuj. I hope I have pronounced the names correctly. All right, guys, so let me talk less and let's do more. Here's the first question for the evening. Okay, now a quick request to all of you guys. Please hold on to your answers till I ask you to post your choices here. And at your end, you should note down the closest options. In fact, if you want, you can kind of post, when I ask you to post the answers, you can tell me, okay, closest options are A and C, and therefore I'm going to choose C, or A and D are the closest, and I'm going to choose D. Just so that we get to understand what you guys consider the closest and then how to choose between the two. So this is the first question, guys. I'm going to mute myself while you give this a shot. You have 2 minutes. Your time starts now. I hope you guys can see this question clearly. All right. So your time has started. 2 minutes to attempt this question. I will tell you when to start posting your answers, where I also want you to post your closed choices. For those of you who've just joined, we are going to discuss how to eliminate the closed choices on GMAT CR. Alright, guys, you can start putting in your answer choices now. And at the same time, you can also let me know what you considered the closest options. That is, which two options you were confused between and what you finally chose. Then we're going to get into discussing what to do under these circumstances when you are confused between two close options. All right, so you can start posting your answers, guys. So I'm waiting for some answer choices. Jaideep says A or D. Okay. Anuj says D. Alessandro also was confused between A and D and he chose A over D. All right, let me get some more answers, guys. It would be great to have your participation. Otherwise, it becomes a one-way process. So I will wait a little more for a few more answers, guys. In fact, most people think that it is the options where they are making the mistake. However, let me tell you this, that the options are just the manifestation of what you have not done during the analysis of the stimulus. So Deva says the correct answer is A. Yes, Pooja was between A and C. So most of you have taken into consideration choice A, and then you are between C and D. Okay, I've got Deva saying B and D options tell only source. That is wrong. Let's see. Let's see, Deva. Shikha says the correct answer is C. So Shikha, were you confused between any other choice? So guys, what I have right now in front of me is most people have considered A or D, or A or C, or B and or C only. There are so many of you out there, guys. It would be wonderful to have you here. So Shikha was also between A or C. All right, guys. Now listen to what I have to say very carefully, okay? What I'm going to do next, thank you, Elizabeth. So Elizabeth has also chosen C. And were you confused between any option when you chose C? Anuj was also between A or D. So it mostly seems A was definitely a strong contender. Whether you've chosen A or not, and whether A is correct or not, what do we need to do? Let's look at that, all right? I'm going to help you set up a very, very simple process. And I want you to, if possible, jot down that process, okay? So just hold on to your questions while I'm explaining, because while explaining the process, I cannot answer your questions as well. I will give you time and opportunity to ask your questions, all right, to ask your doubts. So just hold on to your questions till then. Okay, now the pre-work, okay, when I say pre-work to ACE or pre-work to answer choice elimination, that is what ACE stands for. The pre-work is to get your stimulus clear, to get your conclusion clear, and to set your scope of the conclusion. Most of the times we are ruling out options which are out of scope, but do we ever fix the scope for that correct answer? Maybe we do, maybe we don't. So today I'm going to talk about the pre-work that is needed for you to successfully and accurately eliminate close options. All right. And the close options today seem to be A and D. Let's see. So, note how I'm going to analyze the stimulus. A proposed change to federal income tax laws. Okay, so we are talking about a change that has been proposed, not enacted yet, but proposed, and this change is to be made to these income tax laws. Okay, what would this change do? It would eliminate, that means remove the deductions from taxable income. All right, so any deductions that are supposed to be granted, all right, on taxable income, those deductions will be removed once this proposal, goes live. And what are these deductions for? These deductions are for donations a taxpayer has made to certain types of institutions. What types? Charitable and educational institutions. Okay, so if I simplify this, what I have here is, per a new proposal, changes are going to be made to federal income tax laws. And these changes would eliminate any deductions or exemptions a donor would be getting on donations he or she is making to charitable institutions, to educational institutions. Okay, great. So here we have a proposed change and what will be the impact of that change. Always simplify information, wrap your head around this information. So I am also thinking to myself at this point, what will happen once these deductions are removed? Is that given? Let me read on. If this change were adopted, okay, so if this proposal were adopted, wealthy individuals, okay, now we are specifically talking about a certain category, and that is wealthy individuals, they won't get such deductions. All right. So here we are told that wealthy individuals will no longer get deductions if they were to make donations to these charitable and educational institutions. Have they told us what will happen if they don't get deductions? No, nothing so far. And I'm thinking to myself, will they keep making these donations then? I don't know. Therefore, many charitable and educational institutions would have to reduce services. That means they won't be able to continue doing as much as they were before. And some would have to close their doors. Now, some in CR terms means at least one, could be more than one. All right, definitely more, could be any number more than one. So the conclusion here, very simply put, is many charitable institutions would have to reduce services and some would have to close their doors. Great. So this step so far, I think most of you go through. I don't know with how much clarity you do this, whether you draw any inferences as you go along, whether you ask any questions. For example, I asked the question, what would happen if they were no longer permitted such deductions? That answer is not given. The answer that is given is charitable institutions would close. So there is a gap between wealthy people not getting deductions and charitable institutions closing down. So I am going to fix the scope of my conclusion. Now, what do we mean by fixing the scope of the conclusion? It means fixing the range within which my correct answer choice would fall. So scope of the conclusion is telling me what I am searching for. It's going to tell me what I'm going to search for. See how simple it is. Any new information that shows why or how, and after this why or how, I have simply written the conclusion as it is. So the correct answer choice will show me why or how these institutions would have to reduce services and why they would have to close their doors. All right. So now, keeping the scope of conclusion in mind, I'm going to ask some questions, some very general questions. For example, I can ask, why would charitable institutions or how would charitable institutions reduce services? Why would they have to reduce services? Because they won't have enough funding. This is general answer, right? One would have to reduce services because one wouldn't have money. All right. Why would they not have enough funding? Probably because the wealthy people that we're talking about won't donate as usual once the deductions are taken away. Both these pieces of information, okay, this and this have not been mentioned to us. And why would wealthy people won't donate as usual? Probably they were donating only to get the benefit of the deductions. Now that the deductions will no longer be permitted, maybe they will stop donating. So if you really see, any of these three are, in fact, all these three are valid assumptions, right? The assumption is these charitable and educational institutions would definitely have reduced funding. Okay, why would they have definitely reduced funding? The wealthy people won't be donating as much as they were doing, and that is probably because they were only donating for the benefit of the deductions. So guys, let me know if you are clear so far about fixing the scope. Guys, let me know a yes if fixing the scope is very clear to you, and how we have asked these questions to lead up to find some answers or missing links. If this portion is clear to you, just let me know a yes, guys. This is a pre-work that you need to do, and this is a simple question. The same process you can put in, motion even for hard questions. Start by asking very simple questions. Okay, great. So thank you for your response, guys. It helps me to move on. Right. So we have three ideas here, and all connected to one another. Great. Let's see how we can use this to shortlist our answers. So next step is, keeping this scope in mind, I am going to go to one of each option, and I'm going to try to see whether the option falls within the scope or not. And that is how I'm going to shortlist the options. So let's see. Money contributed by individuals. I'll stop. Okay, so this talks about individuals, not wealthy individuals, but individuals is a term which would definitely include wealthy individuals. So I'm okay with this. So money contributed by individuals. Which individuals? Who make their donations because of provisions in the federal tax laws. This implies that they won't donate if no deductions are given, right? All right, so this is kind of falling within the scope. So money contributed by such individuals who won't donate if deductions are not given provides the only source of funding for many charitable and educational institutions. Now the point is, if they are the only source, will funding reduce? Yes. Will some educational institutions have to reduce services? Yes. Would some have to close their doors? Probably yes. So I'm going to put A on hold. A falls within the scope, so I'm going to put it on hold. Okay. B, the primary reason for not adopting the proposed change in the federal income tax laws cited above is to protect wealthy individuals from having to pay higher tax. Do we care about what is the reason behind removing the deductions? No, we don't. This is totally out of scope. This won't tell me how charitable institutions would close their doors. Okay, the reason why this proposed change is being set into motion is not our concern. So this is definitely out. Okay, so see how setting the scope makes it easy for you to eliminate choices. This choice is not telling you anything about why charitable institutions would have to reduce services. Okay, let's go to C, because C was also a very strong contender. Without incentives offered by federal income tax laws. Now, which incentives might we be talking about? The deductions that are given for donations made. All right. So, without these deductions offered by the income tax laws, at least some wealthy individuals would not donate as much money to charitable institutions as they otherwise would have. So this is falling in line with our thinking that with deductions out of way, wealthy individuals won't donate as usual. So this is also something which is falling within the scope, telling us that funding would reduce, telling us this is how and why charitable institutions would close their doors and reduce their services. So I'm also going to keep C on hold. For me right now, let's say in a real exam situation, A and C are very close options. Okay, but remember, A lot of you said A and D are also very close, so I'm also going to look at D. Wealthy individuals who donate money to charitable institutions are the only individuals. Guys, tell me, this choice says wealthy individuals are the only individuals who donate money. I'm going to ask you a very simple question. Does this option tell you why charitable institutions would reduce services? Does it tell you that these wealthy individuals will stop donating money? Just answer me a yes or no, guys. Does this option say whether wealthy individuals will stop donating money? Does this option say wealthy individuals will stop donating money? I'm going to put the question there on the screen. Hold on a second. Let me try to put it. Okay, so I've already got some answers. No, this option does not say whether they are going to continue donating or whether they are going to stop donating. It just says they are the only source. So you have to be very careful when you are reading the answer choices, guys. So many of you are confused between A and D. All right. So D is very easy to rule out because it does not fall within this scope. It is out of scope and therefore is incorrect. So those of you who were confused between A and D, you could easily have ruled out D. D does not tell me why these institutions would close. It does not tell me whether the wealthy individuals would stop donating money. All right. And how do I know? How am I able to spot this? Because I've done my pre-work. E. Income tax laws should be changed to make the donations the only permissible deductions. Now, the conclusion is not concerned with changes in income tax laws. All right. It is just talking about the proposed change, a specific proposed change. All right. So this is also out of scope. This is not telling me how these institutions would have to reduce services. So I'm really left between A and C now. Since this is an assumption question, I can easily try the negation technique here, right? I don't know how many of you all tried that. So let's do that. A says money contributed by individuals provides the only source. So if I negate this option, it will become wealthy individuals who make the donations because of provisions are not the only individuals. If they are not the only individuals, it means that, say there is an institution, it receives funding from two sources. Once I negate it, it means the institutions are receiving money from other sources as well. So let's say wealthy individuals are one source, and then there are others who also donate money. Now, does this choice tell you that they will not donate money? Yes. It tells us that they won't make their donation because they are making donations only because of the provisions. Okay. However, even if there are other sources, but if the wealthy individuals don't donate money, okay, what happens to X? Funding still reduces, guys. If this funding is stopped, there is still reduction in funding, right? So even after negation, the reduction in funding is there. Therefore, the educational institutions would still have to reduce services, would still have to close the door. Your conclusion is not breaking down. Therefore, A is not a necessary condition, guys. A is not the answer. A is out of scope because it does not tell you that reduction is not going to happen, or it's basically telling you that there will still be reduction in the funding. So it is not a necessary condition, and therefore A is out. Although it supports the conclusion that charitable institutions would have to reduce services if the wealthy individuals are the only source, but the wealthy individuals don't have to be the only source. Even if they are not the only source, funding would still reduce and they would still need to reduce their services. On the other hand, C, okay, if I negate C, it would mean that wealthy individuals would donate as much money as they were donating earlier. And therefore, the conclusion would break down. If they continue donating money, the same amount as they were donating earlier, there would be no reduction in funding, and therefore, there is no reason why these institutions would have to reduce services and close down. So, C is the correct answer. So, you need to look at the pre-work that you need to do in order to be able to eliminate successfully. Pooja, let me give you an example. Shoradip, all right, Pooja, and let me see who else here. Anuj. So many of you were confused between A, right? Now, all of you consider that you are the educational institution. So let's say Pooja, you are an educational institution. Sauradip, you are a charitable institution. Let's say Anuj, you are another charitable institution. Each of you reduces funding from several sources. Okay, you're reducing funding from the government. You're getting funding from the government. You're getting funding from wealthy individuals. All right. Now, let's say the wealthy individual stops donating. Okay, even if you're getting funding from other sources, your funding would still reduce, right? You might still need to close your doors. So your conclusion doesn't break. And if your conclusion doesn't break, this is not an assumption. This is definitely a strengthener, but not an assumption. Anuj, you either negate the quantity or the verb. Don't negate both. You either negate the quantity or you negate the verb. Don't negate both. You could simply negate that at least some individuals would donate as much money as they were. Because remember, the conclusion is about some institutions, not all. So Pooja, let me know if it is clear. Anuj, Pooja, Shoradip, please let me know, and others as well. Please let me know if your confusion is cleared. If the explanation is clear, guys, let me know a yes. And then we can move to the next question. The quantity is some. At least some simply means some. It means at least one, could be more than that. Great, guys. So remember the process I said. Read the stimulus carefully. Make sure you connect your sentences. Step 2, simplify the conclusion. Step 3, set the scope. Step 4, shortlist answer choices which fall within the scope. And then if you're left with close options, then we are going to talk about what to do, how to eliminate it. All right, guys. So I think it's clear to all of you. And let me bring up the next question. I would also love to hear from you guys. How did you like the process? Because I'd like to quickly discuss the process with you as well. Anuj, if some individuals donate the same money, then it is possible that some educational institutions, what is the opposite of some, Anuj? None, right? So none would donate as much money as they were donating earlier. It would be none. So none would donate. There is a double negation here, Anuj, all right? None would not donate. So double negation makes it a positive. That is why this is coming across as none would donate. All right, Anuj. None would not donate becomes equal to none would donate because that is the double negation. So let me quickly discuss. At GMATWhiz, we teach you the correct approach to these CR questions. So we teach you how to analyze the stimulus. Pre-thinking, as I've already discussed, is the pre-work that you need to ace. And pre-work is setting the scope. Okay. We teach you how to analyze the stimulus properly, identify the premise and the conclusion clearly. And then the most common mistake made during ACE is selecting out of scope answer choices. Those are the closest answer choices that you get. So we teach you how to set the scope in different kinds of CR questions, okay? How to set the scope in inference questions, how to set the scope in assumption family questions, and so on and so forth. All right. And when we also tell you how to understand, how to define that scope. Here's the next question, guys. None wealthy people, I mean, none wealthy people is grammatically weird. So not even one wealthy person, it won't be wealthy people. All right. None of the wealthy people would donate as much. Okay, Anuj, write down on the paper. If you have paper in front of you, write down none of the wealthy people would not donate. So if you say none of the wealthy people would not donate, none plus none is cancelled out. All right, it becomes that none of them would donate. So I'm going to mute myself, guys, while you attempt this question. Anuj, I hope this is clear to you. None would not donate. So there are two negatives, none and none, right? So that makes the entire sentence a positive sentence. All right, guys, you can start posting your answers. So Shardip says E, All right, Aranya also says it's E. Felix believes it's C. Suraj believes E is the correct answer. Samagra says E. Anuj says E. So most of you believe it's E. Jaideep says B. And then I've also got C as the correct answer. I'll wait for a few more entries, guys. Then we can begin discussing. So in this particular question, I'm going to again discuss the process. All right. And in this particular question, you might have been confused between options, but not because they are close, but because some of them are pretty confusing. All right. Yes, let me here get a few more answers from you. So Anuj, few is the same as some and the negation is none. Yes. Anuj, yes, that's a yes. So Jaideep says A, Shikha says E. All right, great, guys. So let me. You're welcome, Anuj. All right, guys. So most of you have chosen E as the correct answer. Some of you have also chosen C and B. Pooja says D. Okay. Great, guys. So let's see. And for those of you who haven't posted your answers, I'm sure you have your answers ready. So I'm going to set out the process of fixing the scope. Here I start. So the first line says researchers have found out something. Okay, what have they found out? When very overweight people. All right, so we're talking about a particular situation because the when is indicative of a particular situation. Very overweight people, let me simplify it and say, okay, fat people. Then I've got a modifier who tend to have relatively low metabolic rates, which means such people generally have relative to who? Relative to people who are not very overweight, perhaps. These people have low metabolic rates. So when such people with low metabolic rates lose weight primarily through dieting, okay, so then we are being told how they lose weight. Majorly through dieting, their metabolisms generally remain unchanged. So, supporting fact given to us is very fat people have low metabolic rates. When they lose weight through dieting, their MR remains the same. All right, so far so good. So, what do I need to do about this? Why am I being told this? Let's see why. They will thus. So, the thus tells me that I can put this as an effect of what is given in the previous sentence. So because the MR remains the same throughout their dieting process and losing weight process, they will burn significantly fewer calories at the new weight. So let's say from 100, if they come down to 60, at 60 they will burn, much less calories. Less calories is grammatically wrong. So much fewer calories, a lot less calories at new weight than do people whose weight is normally at that level. Okay, so if I've got a 60 kilo person who's generally at 60 kilo, and I've got a 60 kilo person who was 100 kilos and came down to 60 through dieting, then I'm basically saying this person will be burning significantly fewer calories than that normal weight person. Okay, all of these are facts, and all this will happen because the metabolism remains unchanged for very fat people. Okay. Such newly thin people, so I'm going to call them NTP, newly thin people, will therefore ultimately regain weight. Okay, so they'll become fat again until their body size again matches their metabolic rate. What does this mean? So let's say their metabolic rate was X, and this was when they were 100 kilos, right? Okay. Then they lose weight and they turn 60 kilos. So the conclusion is saying that after losing weight, they will again start gaining weight till their body size matches their metabolic rate. So what was the match point? X equals to 100. That means they will again gain back all the weight that they lost. All right. So if I put down my conclusion, I'm saying people who have lost weight will, through this dieting, will again put on weight until their weight matches their metabolic rate. All right. Now I'm going to fix the scope. Any new information that has to happen for newly thin people to become overweight again. This is what I'm searching for. All right. Any new information, since it's an assumption question, that is why I'm using the term has to happen. All right. Any new information that has to happen for these newly thin people to gain back all the weight that they've lost. So with that scope, I'm going to consider each option. All right. Why or how would newly thin people become overweight again? Well, simple answer to that would be because maybe they will eat more, and or maybe they will not do anything to keep the weight off. They were dieting, right? So maybe they're not going to continue dieting, or maybe they'll not start exercising or anything else, right? This is what I'm thinking. Okay. Why would they eat more? Because they probably won't stick to their earlier diet. So this is as far as I could think in that given moment of time. Nothing else comes to my mind. But I know that these are the kind of answer choices that I'm looking for. And even if I don't have any answer choice matching these, I know that I have my scope and I want to try to fit my answer choice within this scope. So the scope of the conclusion is any new information that is necessary for newly thin people to become overweight again. So let me see, let me examine A. Metabolisms of people who are usually not overweight. Now, this is not the category that I am concerned with. Anyways, let me still carry on. Metabolism of normal people are much more able to vary. So metabolism of normal people varies more than the metabolism of very overweight people does. I already know this. Remember, I know that metabolism of very overweight people remains unchanged. So this is not really adding any new information for one. Secondly, it's not telling me how the newly thin people are going to get back their weight. So this is out of scope and therefore not the answer. See, this is how you can eliminate closed choices as well. Not that I'm saying this is a closed choice. The amount of calories that a person, which person, fat person, thin person, very fat person, very thin person, this seems to be a general piece of information and I don't know if I can apply it to my scope because my scope is strictly for newly thin people. So this choice says the amount of calories that a person in general burns usually in a day is dependent more on the amount that person eats. Does the passage tell me how much the person is going to eat? No. So then I cannot use B at all. It is also out of scope. Researchers have not yet determined whether the metabolic rate of formerly very overweight individuals can be accelerated by some other chemical agent. Does this have to happen for newly thin people to become overweight? This is totally irrelevant. None of you chose this. Because of the constancy of their metabolic rates. Whose metabolic rates? People who are at their usual weight. So I'm not even talking about very overweight people who have recently lost weight. Normally have as much difficulty gaining weight as they do losing it. So this is not talking about the right category of person or people, therefore it's irrelevant. We're left with E. In the exam scenario, you can just mark E and be done with it. A lot of you may not have kind of zeroed in on E because a lot of you did not participate in the answers. Could be because you didn't read it properly. You can simplify this answer choice. Relatively few means hardly any. So relatively few means hardly any. Look at how I'm simplifying. Okay. Very overweight people who have dieted is referring to newly thin people. So hardly any newly thin people tend to continue to consume. I have simplified it to continue to eat substantially fewer calories. So continue to eat fewer calories than do people whose normal weight is at that level. So I'm saying than normal weight people do. Than normal weight people do. My bad. So basically, I'm saying hardly any newly thin person continues to eat less, which basically translated means most newly thin people eat more than normal people do. If this is true, then this is something that is necessary for newly thin people to become overweight again. All right, and therefore E is the correct answer. Once again, guys, let me know if the process is absolutely clear to you. A lot of you, in fact, most of you got it right. Thank you, Henry, for pointing out the confusion. All right. But what this session is all about is how to eliminate choices, how to master the art of eliminating answer choices. Okay. And the pre-work that you need to do is to set the scope and then examine the answer choices in light of the scope. So guys, thank you, Sharadip. Others, if you could also chime in whether this entire process is clear. I'm going to move to the next question. We've done 2 assumption-based questions. I'm going to move on and do a weekend question. So guys, let me know if you're ready. In the meantime, let me share some links with you guys. So for those of you who are interested in taking a closer look at our course, where I'm going to post the free trial, the link to the free trial version of the course so that you can check it out. It's there on the screen in front of you, the link to the free trial version of the course, guys. You're welcome, Shikha. Also, I'm sure a lot of you out there are in the process of starting your prep or in the middle of your prep. Perhaps you are again thinking, you know, you're a retaker, you want to give the GMAT again. It didn't go so well earlier, but you don't know what to do. All right. So I'm also going to post a link using which you can set up a free call with our strategy experts and discuss your situation with them. So let me post that as well. So coming up, you have the link to set up a call with our strategy experts. You can use this link to schedule a call with them and talk out your issues. If you have an ESR, they can analyze your ESR for you and point out your issues to you. All right, guys, so let me get started with the next question. Here it is. I'm going to mute myself while you look at this question. So let me also hide the link. All right, guys, you can start posting your answers. Time is up. Let me see what you have shortlisted. You can also let me know which options you consider close. Do participate, guys. That gives me an idea about how you are thinking, and that helps me to help you more. All right, so I've got Suraj and Samagra stating B. Mm, so, Suraj, the reasoning that you have given is not correct. And I don't think, I mean, okay, let me explain that. I think it'll become clearer. All right, Suraj. So, Suraj and Samagra believe B are the correct answer. Shaurya believes it's D. You've got to ask yourself, Suraj, does choice B indicate that number of snow geese are to such an extent that the hunters are not able to reduce their population? Because there has been a sharp increase recently, all right, and the data given in B is for many years. So you'll have to be a little more precise about your reasoning. I'm not saying it's entirely incorrect, Suraj, huh? Okay. So let me see. I've got B, I've got D, I've got B, Anjana, Shikha, Jaideep. And I would love to hear from your end, guys. Is the process helping you guys solve these questions? Are you finding it easier to get to the correct answer? So Pooja says D. Okay. Suraj, don't feel disheartened. I'll just get back to that. Okay, guys, so it seems B, D, B, D. All right. Most of you are with D. Then some of you are with B as well. So let me get started with this. All right. Okay. Thank you so much, guys, for responding. So once again, analysis of the stimulus is very, very important as your pre-work. We're talking about some species of Arctic birds are threatened. Threatened means are at risk by recent sharp increase in the population of snow geese. So this sentence here is a fact. It tells us some species of Arctic birds, that means at least one, okay, are being threatened by sudden increase in the number of snow geese. All right, and these snow geese breed in the Arctic. So Arctic birds are also in the Arctic. Snow geese breed. The Arctic is their breeding ground, and these snow geese are displacing birds of less vigorous species. Probably these Arctic birds are less vigorous then. All right. So from this sentence, what I've got is recently there's been a significant increase in the number of snow geese, which has led to the reduction of some species of Arctic birds, which are probably less strong. Okay. Although, now the although is very significant because it will tell me why the author wants to present this kind of information right after the first sentence. Okay. So, although snow geese are a popular quarry for hunters in the southern regions where they winter. All right, so hold it. Snow geese breed in the Arctic and they go to the south to spend the winter. This is what this sentence is telling me. I can infer this. And in these southern regions, these snow geese are a popular target for hunters. Okay, that means you have hunting snow geese is a popular, let's say, vocation for hunters in the southern regions. All right. So although this is true, hunting season ends. So although hunters like to hunt the snow geese, the hunting season ends even when hunting has reduced the population by 5%. That means whatever be the total number of snow geese available at a given point of time, the hunters cannot hunt more than 5%. So let's say if there are 100 snogies available, the hunters can only hunt 5 snogies. All right. So the moment the population is reduced by 5%, the hunting will stop. All right. Great. Why is the author telling us this sentence? Hunters like hunting snogies but have to stop when a certain limit is reached. Why is the author telling us this? Probably the author wants to tell us that the hunting limit is not letting the hunters hunt a lot. All right. Clearly, so now I have this conclusion marker here. Dropping this restriction means removing the 5% limit would allow other species to recover. So, conclusion is removing the restriction on hunting will reduce snogies population. All right. What does this mean? It means that if hunters were allowed to hunt more snogies, other species of Arctic birds would grow in numbers because snogies would reduce. So, more hunting allowance would help hunters to hunt more snogies. And hunting more snogies means reduction in snogies population by more than 5%. So this is what the conclusion really means if I kind of expand the conclusion. All right. So if this is the conclusion, then since this is a weekend question, we have to seriously undermine the argument. We need to prove that the conclusion will not take place. So what is the scope then? Any new information that proves the removal of hunting limit will not help in reducing the snow geese population. Okay, and why will it not help in reducing the snow geese population? Probably the removal of the hunting limit is not going to make the hunters hunt more. All right, and thus it will not help in the recovery of other species of Arctic birds. We're looking at a possible choice which tells us that the hunters will not be able to hunt more or will not hunt more, even if restrictions on hunting are removed. This is the kind of weakener we are looking for. This is how we will set the scope. Guys, let me know if it is clear so far. So, Jaideep, where they winter means where they spend the winter. Okay. The snow geese are a popular quarry for hunters in the southern regions where they winter. They winter, definitely it means the snow geese winter. Snow geese is the subject of your previous clause. They winter. Winter is being used as a verb here. Okay. So guys, let me know if you're clear with the process so far. Then I'm going to move ahead with the elimination of the answer choice. Just let me know a yes if you are clear with the scope. Thank you, Shauradip. Thank you, Samagra. Uh, Others, is it clear, guys, to all of you, how we arrived at this scope and then the weakener? All right, thank you so much, Kaustab. Thank you, everybody. So let me move to the answer choice elimination now. So my scope is information that shows why the hunters will not be able to hunt or will not hunt more, even if they are allowed to hunt more, even if the hunting restrictions are removed. All right. So this is how I'm going to analyze my choices. I'm going to compare each choice and see whether it's falling within the scope or not. So before that, I need to simplify the choices. Hunting limits for snow geese were imposed many years ago. So this is telling me when the hunting limits were imposed. They were imposed many years ago. In response to means because of, right? Because of. So basically, I'm saying hunting limits were imposed because of sharp decline in number of snow geese. This happened many years ago. All right. Now, if I consider this choice, it means that hunting limits were put to stop the decline, right? Now, if I want the decline, I should actually remove the hunting limits, right? So this is more like a strengthener. It's not an out of scope also, guys. I would say this is more of a strengthener. this is telling me yes, hunting limit should be removed now. All right. If the hunting limits are removed, the decline will start again. So A is definitely not the answer. Is it clear, guys, why A is not the answer? So Aranya and Suraj both have a certain logic, which is partially correct. Aranya's logic I'm going to discuss. I don't want to give away, I want to let the cat out of the bag immediately. So let me go ahead with, when I explain B, I'll explain. So guys, is A clear? A is a strengthener. Is that clear to all of you? Yes, Aranya. Yes, guys. Is choice A clear why it is a strengthener and not the correct answer? It is telling us that if you remove the hunting limit now, then the decline will start. All right, let me move to B. Now, B, if you simplify B, guys, a lot of us don't simplify the answer choices enough, and that can be a reason why we don't get the correct answer. B says, it has been many years since. So it means that for many years, this is the simplification of this. The restriction led to the hunting season for snow geese being closed earlier than the scheduled date. So basically, we are saying that it has been many years that restriction has, you know, uh, for many years, restriction has not led to the hunting season being closed earlier. Now, remember, per the stimulus, the hunting season ends if and when hunting has reduced the population by 5%. So we are basically saying for many years, hunters have not been hunting up to 5%, even up to 5%. Okay? They're not even hunting 5%. So the 5% limit is not even being met, which means that if you allow them to hunt more, what are the chances they will hunt more? For many years, they haven't hunted even up to 5%, because if they had hunted 5%, then the hunting season would have closed earlier than the scheduled date. So basically, simplified, B means for many years hunters are not hunting much. It is suggesting that even if you remove the restriction, the hunters may not hunt much. So Suraj, I hope you get it where you were wrong slightly, and Aranya, you were right. You were correct. So Aranya was saying earlier that because the hunters are not hunting successfully enough to reduce the numbers by 5%, so getting rid of the limit won't matter. The limit is not the reason. It's not the barrier. Great. So Suraj, you were very close to the logic, and I'm glad that you were able to eliminate the other choices successfully. So, Shauradip, I hope you can see how Aranya's logic was bang on target. See, Shauradip, it's saying that it did not close before the scheduled date. So, scheduled date means whether you reach 5% or not, on the scheduled date, the hunting season will close. And it will close earlier if you're hunting up to 5%. So this is casting a doubt. Were they even hunting 5% up to the scheduled date? If they had reached 5% earlier, it would have closed earlier. All right, Shoradip. So B could be kept on hold because it is, kind of knocking on the issue of the limit, 5% limit. So B is the correct answer actually, but we'll get to that later. C says the number of snow geese taken by hunters each year has grown every year for several years. If every year the number of snow geese is growing, it is indicative that hunters want to hunt more. And since the population is also growing, we don't know finally whether they will be reaching the 5% or not, whether the 5% is going to be enough or not. All I know from C is there is a tendency to hunt more. Okay, so it's more of a strengthener than a weakener, and definitely not the answer. Now, a lot of you chose D, guys. Let's look at D and see whether it falls within the scope. So let me clear all of this. Okay. D says, as their population has increased, snow geese have recolonized. Recolonized means gone back again to the wintering grounds that they had not used for several seasons. So now they have spread out more. Does this choice tell you whether they will be hunted more or not? Guys, ask yourself, does this tell you whether hunters will be hunting more or not? Let me know if this choice is telling you whether hunters will hunt more or not. Does choice D tell you whether the hunting will increase or decrease? It just tells you they have started recolonizing. It doesn't tell you whether they will be hunted more. So you tell me, you ask yourself, does choice D tell you whether the hunters will increase their hunting or whether they won't increase their hunting? Shoradip, the 5% you are thinking of a particular day, all right? What the choice suggests is broadly that hunters haven't been hunting much. Okay, so C can be ruled out, D can be ruled out because it is not falling within the scope. It is out of scope. It doesn't tell me whether the hunters will hunt more or not, and that was my scope. So D is out. In the snow goose's winter habitats, the goose faces no significant natural protection. So that means there is no predator which eats the snow geese. This only tells us why their numbers have probably been growing so sharply. And if E is true, it makes sense to remove the hunting limit. It makes sense to let the hunters hunt more. Also, this is more like a remote strengthener than a weakener. Therefore, B is the only possible answer choice. Closest probably was D, but because D does not tell you whether the hunters will hunt more or not, it can be ruled out. So use the scope, guys. Use the scope to show you the right direction when caught between two options. So recolonize the wintering grounds. Now, from the passage, Shoradip, we know that their wintering grounds are the southern regions. So within the southern region, they are now occupying areas which they hadn't colonized for some time. All right, Shoradip? They have not recolonized anywhere else. They have recolonized within the wintering grounds. Jaydeep, E seems to suggest that if there is no natural predation, then we should probably remove the hunting limit. Let the hunters become the predators. All right, let the hunters become bigger predators. Let me put it this way. So, guys, let me know if this question is clear so that we can move to our next question, the last question of the evening. Do let me know. Once again, if you are interested in setting up a free call with the strategy experts, I'll just quickly post the link to that. Yeah, sure. It's a tough one, but I would no. This something that I would tell all of you guys. Focus on elimination. Huh? Most of us usually focus on choosing the correct option. Once you're able to eliminate options, 4 options successfully with proper reasoning, you will find whatever is left, however improbable it might be, it's the correct answer. So that's the link to set up a strategy call, a call with the strategy experts for any issues that you're facing in your prep or in starting your prep or in restarting your prep. All right, guys. So I am just going to quickly now move to the last question. Yes, Suraj, as we call it ACE, answer choice elimination. for the win. So, yes. I get it, Anuj. So, Anuj, always shortlist options. Always shortlist options based on the scope. If it is even mildly touching your scope, shortlist it, and then you can kind of fight it out between two options. So, say for example, if you shortlisted B and D, then you could ask yourself which of these two choices even suggests that hunting will increase or not increase. All right. So always shortlist. Okay, guys. So let me bring up the next question. Here it is. I'm going to mute myself. All right, guys, you can start posting your answers. This is a question type on which there is a particular. Okay, let me put it this way. For such questions that we find here, okay, a recommendation being made, and then we are saying whether the plan is going to work or not. There's a typical answer choice that is given to trap students. We'll discuss that also. Shikha says A, Jaideep says C, Aranya says B, Shordip says E. Oh my god. Suraj says B. So would love to hear, would love to see some more entries, guys. Okay, Anuj says B. All right, so I've got different answer choices and um, more support for B than for any of the others. Samagra believes B or E. Okay. Good that you brought that up, Samagra. I'll show you how you could have eliminated the incorrect option uh, sooner. Maybe you already did eliminate it. Okay, guys, thank you for your response. So I'm going to quickly lead you through this. So here we're talking about 12 years ago and again 5 years ago. So twice in the past. There were extended periods, means there were long periods. When Darfur Republic's currency, all right, so we're talking about a particular country, DR, the Pundra. So Pundra is the currency of Darfur Republic. This was weak. So twice in the past, there were long periods when Pundra was weak. All right, simple facts. And then we are given the explanation of what is meant by weak currency. It means the value of Pundra was unusually low, means lower than that is usual for Pundra, relative to the world's most stable currency. All right. So if we were to compare Pundra in the past with the world's most stable currencies, the value of Pundra was unusually low. Okay. This happened twice in the past. Both times, that means 12 years ago and 5 years ago, a weak Pundra made, now look at the word made Darfur's manufactured products a bargain on world markets, and Darfur's exports were up substantially. It means what? What does this sentence mean? It means that the author is telling us the cause was weak Pundra. The word made tells us that Pundra was the cause, the weak Pundra. And the effect was Darfur exports increased substantially. And this happened both the times. Okay? All these are facts. And we don't know why the author is giving us these facts. Now, so we are talking about current situation. Some politicians are saying that in order to, now whenever you have this in order to, it means we are setting a goal. Okay? The objective is to cause another similarly sized increase in exports. Similarly sized, similar to what? Similar to the size of increased exports in the past. So if you want to have a same increase, similar increase in exports, then the government should allow the Pundra to become weak again. So that means they're saying deliberately weaken the Pundra. This is the plan. What do they hope to achieve? They hope to achieve a similarly sized increase in exports. Great. So this is all good. We are given some facts. We are given some politicians' opinion. What are we supposed to do with this? Let's read the question stem. Which of the following, if true, provides the government with the strongest grounds to doubt that the politician's recommendation, if followed, will achieve its aim? So we've got to cast a doubt on the politician's plan. All right. So the conclusion is, in order to cause another similarly sized increase in exports, government should allow the Pundra to become weak again, because this has happened twice in the past, and we have to weaken this. So the scope of the argument is any new piece of information. Okay, focus on this. Any new piece of information that shows why or how weakening the Pundra will not cause another similar sized increase in exports. That is our scope, right? Any information that tells you that even if we weaken the Pundra, there won't be a similar sized increase in exports. This is important. Similar sized. We are not merely saying will not increase the exports, it's saying will not cause a similarly sized increase in exports. All right. So, keeping that scope in view, I'm going to go through the options. All right. Before that, I'm just going to quickly think this through. Why would weakening the Pundra not cause? Why would weakening the Pundra, let me just scratch this out, not cause another similar sized increase in exports? Why? I could think of a lot of things. Simply put, in one big category, because now things may be different. So we're talking, the politicians are making this recommendation based on the results that took place 12 years ago and 5 years ago. What if now things are different? Like, what if, there may not be similar demand for Darfield's products on the world market now? Maybe earlier there was, and therefore Darfield's manufactured products got a good bargain. Now maybe there are just too many competitors. Maybe the domestic demand of these manufactured products may have increased such a lot that Darford doesn't have enough to increase the export, right? That could also be a possibility. Manufacturing industries may not be able to increase their production by the required amount. Maybe, this is also possible, because if I want to increase my exports, I also need to increase production. And why would these industries not increase their production? You can question this further. Of course, in the exam, it depends how much time you have, because they don't have the capacity to do so. So, till here, I'm pretty sure one can quickly think up issues. All right. Just link it to what do we need for increasing exports. So, keeping these things in mind, we move to the answer choices. Before we, see whether the answer choice fits our scope or not, falls within the scope or not, we also need to understand the meaning of the answer choice. What does this choice mean? Several of the politicians now recommending that the Punjab be allowed to become weak. So we are saying the politicians who are recommending now made that same recommendation before. Now, if these are the same politicians, and if their recommendation worked in the past, there are high chances that their recommendation may work now also. It's more like a strengthener, guys. It's not a weakener. If they are the ones who made the recommendation earlier and the recommendation worked, all right, then we are more likely to believe that their recommendation might work even now. So this is definitely not casting a doubt. Some of you marked A as the correct answer. I hope you can see why A cannot be the answer. All right. Okay. Let me move to B. B says after several decades of operating well below peak capacity. Now, several decades would mean at least 20 years. I'm just putting this as 20 plus. 1 decade is 10 years. So, decades means at least 2 decades and plus. All right. So, they're saying for 20 years, the Darfield's manufacturing sector was operating below peak capacity. Now, what does this mean? Let's say Darfield's manufacturing sector's peak capacity, all right, is 1000 units. For 20 plus years, it was producing much less, much lower than 1000 units, okay? Much lower than 1000 units. For several decades, much less than this. It is now operating near peak levels. So let's say earlier it was producing just 500 units. Now it is producing maybe 900 units. So now it just has the scope to increase 100 more units. Earlier it had the scope to increase 500 units to step up production. So what we are saying is, even if Pundra is made weak, exports may not see a similarly sized increase because Darfield may not be able to produce enough to export. And therefore, B is definitely a strong contender to weaken the recommendation. Is B clear, guys? Pooja, Shikha, Samagra, Shoradeep, Jaydeep, please let me know if you are clear. Do let me know with a yes, guys, if you are clear about B, how B is the correct answer. I am going to discuss the other choices also, but for now, do you understand how B is the correct answer? Is it clear to you? Why and how B is the correct answer? Do let me know. I will then proceed to the next few choices. So, Shikha, this choice is saying that earlier Darfield's manufacturing sector had the ability to step up the production, all right, because they were not really producing up to their peak capacity. Let's say the peak capacity of Darfur's manufacturing sector was to produce 1,000 units, but in the past it was only producing 500 units. That means if the situation arose, if there was a chance of increasing exports, they could increase the production by 500 units in the past. All right. Now they are producing near peak capacity. So that means, let's say they are producing almost 900 units already. Now, can they increase the export by 500 units? Not really, right? They are already producing near peak capacity. So this choice is saying Darfur's manufacturing sector currently cannot increase its production to match the past export increase. So let me know, Shikha, if it is clear to you now. Is choice B clear? Weak currency definitely can boost the exports, but other things also have to be favorable. I should be able to produce enough, there should be enough demand. All right. Okay, guys. So let me move to the other choices. C says the economy of a country experiencing a rise in exports. So this talks about a country which is already experiencing a rise. And we are looking at a situation where if we want to increase the exports. So this says the economy will become healthier only if the currency is strong. This in no way is weakening the conclusion, is it? Health of the country's economy is not our concern. The scope of the conclusion is any choice that tells you weakening Pundra won't make exports increase. This choice is saying what you need for the economy to be healthy. So, out. D. Those countries whose manufactured products compete with Darfur all currently have stable currencies. Now, this means that if Darfur's currency value is reduced, if Darfur's currency is made weak, then definitely the products of the other countries, the other competitor countries will actually become more expensive. So this actually strengthens the politician's recommendation. It says that, okay, currently the competitors have stable currencies. So if we weaken the Pundra, then Pundra's products will again become a bargain on the world market. And therefore, we can reap the benefits. So this is more like a strengthener. A lot of you were confused between E. Now, E states an alternate plan, as Anuj has stated earlier. Okay? E is telling us that a sharp improvement in the efficiency of matching funds, okay, would make Darfur's products a bargain on the world market. We won't even need to weaken. So this choice is saying we have another plan. Is this choice weakening the current plan? Ask yourself, is this choice weakening the current plan? Just answer this question in the chat box, guys. Samagra, how much more are they producing now? That's the question. And please remember, by stating an alternate plan, we automatically do not weaken the current plan. Okay? In a plan goal question, Samagra, if you are supposed to weaken the given plan, you cannot weaken it by showing that there is another better plan, all right? So Anuj, an alternate plan never works. All right? You cannot state an alternate plan to weaken a current plan. Unless and until the conclusion is saying this is the best plan. No, Shikha, it's not neither strengthening the plan nor weakening the plan. This is just saying we have an alternate plan. Okay? And if you put that plan in action, you won't need to use this plan. So this is telling us we don't need to use the current plan. It's not telling us the current plan is bad. All right? So let me know, guys, if this is clear. This choice is stating an alternate plan. On a plan goal question, an alternate plan is never the correct answer. So this choice means there is an alternate way to decrease Darfur's export. And that alternate way doesn't involve weakening of currency. If it doesn't involve weakening of currency, this is out of scope. I think I would have also written somewhere here. Yeah. The argument is concerned with the efficacy, the effectiveness of the politician's recommendation. If there is any other way of doing it or not, that is not what we are weakening or strengthening. So E is not the correct answer. This is a classical trap on plan goal questions, guys. So do let me know if everything is clear. Anuj, should is usually a necessary condition. Of course, if you're talking about if and then clauses, should it doesn't even come into play. Should could also mean what is expected to happen. For example, if I say this fan is very efficient, it should provide the required, let's say, coolness. So I'm just talking about what is expected to happen. It doesn't necessarily state a necessary condition. So guys, let me know if this is clear. E is saying there is another plan. Just by stating another plan, you cannot automatically weaken the current plan. To weaken the current plan, you must prove the current plan is not going to work. No, Jaideep. We can use an alternate cause for a cause and effect argument, but not an alternate plan for a plan goal argument. So guys, that brings us to the end of today's session. I really hope this session has helped you understand how you can eliminate options easily if you fix the scope beforehand. Usually we just read, we sail through the stimulus, we don't fix the scope, so we don't really know what we are looking for. We're not able to set a boundary for ourselves. The moment you fix the scope, you're telling yourself, okay, my correct answer choice cannot lie outside of this. All right? So guys, let me once again just post some information for you in case you're interested in looking at or taking a closer look at our course. I'm just going to quickly post the link to the trial version, and I'm also going to post the link to the strategy, the free call that you can set up with our strategy experts. So just give me a moment. Yep, here on the screens you have the link to the free trial version of the course, guys. You can avail of that link to check out more about our methodologies. And do let me know if you found the session effective. Thank you so much, Shika. So, yep. Let me also now put up the link to set up this. In case you want to discuss your current situation with our strategy experts, you can book a call using that link and talk to them. You can discuss your issues with them. So, guys, you can also connect with us over that mail ID and using that WhatsApp number. So, guys, everybody, thank you very, very much for this, for your interaction, without which I could not have taken this session successfully. And see you around soon. Take care. All the very best for your preparation. Hope you have got some nice, good takeaways for tackling your CR problems from this session. So, bye bye, guys. See you soon.